Hello everyone, this is KeithUAPC, and this is a commentary of a professional League of Legends game, which is a departure from what I've traditionally done, which has been Dota games. But I saw on Reddit there was a little thread about a caster search competition-y thing, and I love competitions, so I thought I would try my hand at casting this game. I'm not quite as experienced with League of Legends as I am with Dota. League of Legends is something I tried out a bit recently, sort of in the wait between Dota and Dota 2. I thought I'd give League of Legends a try. I like it. I hope that you like League of Legends as well as Dota. I like MOBAs in general. Variety spices up my life. So this is a match between Monomaniac, the blue team, and Dignitas, the purple team. I believe this is taken from the series they played in the IPL 4. I think it's either Game 1 or Game 2. Not sure which. So starting off, I'm watching this from the Monomaniac perspective, so I can only see their side of things. I can't see the other team's vision. I saw Monomaniac did a quick clairvoyance on the enemy team, revealing that Mundo started a cloth and Soraka picked up a pink ward. So Team Monomaniac is setting out to, looks like they're going to invade. They've pinged here, so I believe they're going to get Janna to throw down a ward there and go for the invade. They're probably going to be a bit cautious on the invade before Janna's there, because Janna's pretty important in a level 1 fight. Her tornado, if a level 1 fight happens, is very strong. There, oh, they see Rise, and Lee Sin hits him with a Q and smacks him, chunks him down for about half of his health. That's going to be a bit of a problem for Rise, because it's going to make it hard for them to contest this invade. If he does want to contest it, he's going to have to stay there at about half health, which is risky business. Otherwise, I think it's more likely that he's going to go back to base to heal up, and they are not going to contest this invade. Likely Mundo starts blue, but taking his red means that it really messes up with his jungler after he takes his blue. Traditionally, he would want to go these race in this red. If they take his red, he's probably going to want to go to their jungle instead, which is risky business. We'll see how that works out for him. So they're just sort of hanging out. The invade looks pretty successful. The other team not contesting it, which is, I don't know, I guess it's not that surprising. The Jen is so strong level 1. Rise pokes his head in real quick. They ping him, but it looks like they're going to get away. They see Soraka down here, about to drop another ward out, which makes them pretty safe, feel safe. They're not too worried, since they've spotted Soraka all the way down there. They pick up the race real quick. They leave one behind just so they don't respawn. Since Mundo will be starting blue and then perhaps going to take their red, it will be a long time before he gets back to take those wraiths. They pull off the lizard real quick. They are continuing their happy trail. Morgana is pinging. They see Rise has shown up to lane. They have successfully invaded and stolen the enemy's red buff. They dropped a ward here, so they have both entrances to the jungle covered, so if Mundo tries to go into their jungle, they will see him. Ashe and Janna are in the bottom lane. Mundo is headed into their jungle, so they've pinged him, they see him, they put the wards there, they spotted him. Mundo is starting their red buff. We'll see if, I assume they're not going to just let him get away with it. They're pinging him, they're converging. We see Janna and kog'maw coming in from the bottom, Morgana coming from the top. Mundo does take the red buff, but this is the problem with Mundo as opposed to Shyvana. If he was Shyvana, he doesn't have flash, so he's got no escape. He's just dead. He's hit by a Olaf axe. kog'maw flashes over the wall. Morgana throws down her tormented soil, but it ends up being Janna, the support hero, who gets the first blood, which is a bit unfortunate because that gives her the double buff, and it would have been nice to give kog'maw the double buff, I think. Not so much for the blue buff. The blue buff is good on Janna because it'll help her spam those shields, but the red on kog'maw would have really helped him trade very effectively, I think. But in the end, it's still obviously a win. I mean, first blood is first blood, no matter who you get it on. Bit of frass going on in the mid lane. Morgana against Rise. It's a pretty even matchup. Morgana's pretty even with most heroes in the sense that no one really beats her, and she doesn't really straight up beat anyone. She just sort of farms, and she just gets a decent amount of farm from her lane and brings massive utility to team fights with the CC on her ult, the poke on her Q, the shred on her W, and the fantastic shield utility. So they throw down a clairvoyance in the enemy jungle just to keep tabs on the enemy Mundo. They see him Mundoing down. So they know Mundo isn't ganking top lane for the moment, or mid lane. We have a Lee Sin against Vladimir matchup top lane, which is, they're both going to be pretty hard to kill, I think. You see Lee Sin start with some MR blues, Vladimir started with claw, so they're both playing very defensively. Vladimir sustain and Lee Sin shield. I think There's not a lot of kill potential on either side in that lane. I don't think. They're both just so durable. I'm not sure who will win the trades though, because Lee Sin will probably do more damage, but then Vladimir has the sustain. You see Olaf coming around from the side for a gank. He does have that double buff, but Vladimir does have pool, so we'll see if they can make anything happen. Here's Vladimir's pool, but he's slowed, so he's not getting very far within his pool. However, Olaf misses that axe, the second axe, and only a little damage done to Vladimir. Vladimir started off quite a few health potions. He's down to two of them, unfortunately for him. Mid lane continuing to fire him up. Ryze has been forced to use two of his health potions, while Morgana still has both of hers. Actually, Morgana went back to base, despite not really taking any damage. She stole all her potions. She's picked up a quick Dorans by going back to base. She's coming in for a gank top lane. Some nice harass preliminary. Actually, I missed the... Olaf took a lot of damage. He must have dove under tower for a little bit. Anyways, we have Morgana coming in for oh, she whiffs with her Q. The binding misses, largely because Vladimir used his pool. So Vladimir doesn't take too much damage. He was already quite injured. Olaf has gone back to base to heal up. His red buff is expired. That really lowers his ganking potential. Since they spot Mundo in the jungle, they're feeling fairly safe bottom lane. Morgana's back to farming middle lane. Morgana, since she left to gank, she's down to 21 against 31 CS. So she lost a little bit of CS. She does have the few creeps right here to kill to catch up a little bit in the next wave, while Ryze has gone back to his base. So she is going to catch up a little bit, but going to gank put her a little bit behind. We see kog'maw farming bottom lane. He's not really winning this trade. It's a bit dangerous for him to be trading when his Janna is recalled back to base. So he's taking a bit more damage. He really shouldn't be trading without his Janna here to give him those shields. But it's not the end of the world. He's taking a bit of damage. He has some health potions on hand to help recover from that. I'm not sure what... Oh, I think we're at the 6-minute mark. They're pinging Mundo's jungle. I guess they're wanting to see where Mundo is, sort of, so they can plan for this next blue buff, I think. Oh, Soraka's low. We see kog'maw's hit her. Olaf hits her with Q, and she's toast. Olaf hits her with his reckless swing and his axe, so taking her out. So that's a 6-minute 20 mark, a kill on Soraka bottom lane, which really lets them pressure either Dragon or this blue buff when it respawns around the 7-minute and 10 mark, or both. Middle lane, Ryze picked up Sapphire Crystal and Ruby Crystal, working towards his Catalyst the Protector, and he's farming some mid lane. Top lane, we see Lee Sin has picked up 2 Null Mantles, so he's really stacking that MR since he's laning against Vladimir. Not only is it good to lower the damage you take, but Vladimir is certainly going to be picking up a Hextech Revolver, and stacking magic resistance will lower the damage you take, which in turn lowers the sustain he will get from the Hextech Revolver. So it actually, in a strange way, does damage stacking MR. Ooh, Morgana lands a really nice Q on Mundo to take out Mundo right here. And the blue buff is up, although Mundo just died. I don't think they're going to go for the enemy blue buff. Looks like instead they're moving towards Dragon with 3 here, and they're... Plus, they have kog'maw on bottom lane. Bottom lane, Ashe and Soraka appear to be farming. kog'maw's content to farm. They pulled the Dragon out. They're taking a bit longer than I thought they would with the Dragon. kog'maw's just continuing to farm. I don't think doesn't think they need him. They see Vladimir's top lane. Lee Sin is just doing some golems real quick, because he can, essentially. And the Dragon is still going on. This is a slow Dragon. They're going to smite it any second now, and... down goes the Dragon. So they're up 3 kills in a Dragon. It's a pretty handy lead. The Ashe shows up a bit too late. She's very sad. She realizes that she's missed out on the Dragon show. Lee Sin coming from behind against his Vladimir. We'll see if he trades effectively. They're both at more or less full health. We'll see how the exchange goes. Looks like Vladimir is lost. Oh, he knocks Vladimir back so he can continue to be damaged. Vladimir's lost about half of his health, and it's hard for Vladimir to sustain before he gets that Hextech Revolver. But he does do a lot of damage against the enemy Lee Sin at the same time. So fairly even trade, but Vladimir had a small edge in that trade. Olaf is recalled back to base. Olaf has picked himself up a Wriggle's Lantern to help out with the warding, and just because it's a generally awesome item for the armor and the damage, and the proc, of course, to help him jungle faster. Very standard. So kog'maw has not gone back to base yet. He's still on just his boots, whereas Ashe has picked up a Dorans and a Boots of Speed. So he's going to have a hard time trading effectively against this Ashe, since she's gone back to base to pick up some swag, and he's still swagless. Very unfortunately for him. He must have quite a bit of gold. So when he goes back to base, he will probably have the edge, but in the meantime, Ash should be able to trade effectively against him, especially with the Soraka support, who not only has the heal for the sustain, but if you heal them while they're trading to give them the armor buff during the trade, that's very huge. They spot Mundo trying to take the Wraith, and there's the Wraith really low, and ooh, looks like Mundo threw a cleaver at that Wraith to kill it. Olaf didn't get it. He probably should have tried to pick up that Wraith kill instead of just letting Mundo have it. The Lee Sin is hanging out in the bushes. He's lost a bit of health. Vladimir's healing himself up slowly but surely. It looks like Lee Sin continuing to try and trade against this Vladimir. Both of them very durable champions. Neither of them I don't think can kill the other one. Looks like Morgana is positioning to take her own blue buff with the help of Olaf, who's being a bro, and going to give it to her, no doubt. There goes the Q to finish it off. They spot Mundo jungling top lane. He just finished it off as a red buff, so he's no doubt going to be ganking someone soon. Lee Sin better be careful. Lee Sin actually has been trading very effectively with Vladimir. This is Vladimir down about 40% health. We have this Olaf coming in from the side to maybe get a gank on. Rise is spotted mid lane. Bottom lane's missing. And where is Vladimir? Are they going to dive him? He's still there. He must have recalled. He must not be there. They're wondering where Mundo is. Mundo's at the tower. Vladimir recalled, so they're probably going to dive this Mundo instead. Here comes the dive. Lee Sin taking the tanker, taking the tower hits. He's been exhausted. They're still continuing to damage him. Lee Sin flashes out. He gets hit by the Ash arrow, but it's not enough to kill him. Now Olaf taking some tower hits. One more tower hit. Not enough to kill him as the shield from Lee Sin helps out a little bit. Bottom lane, kog'maw went back to base to pick up boost speed and 3 Dorns, which is enough to really help him bully the Ashe. He's turned around, now he's 2 Dorns up on her, so she went back to base to buy again, leaving Soraka all alone. Ashe returned to base and she bought 2 Dorns, so this is same on items. Pretty even bottom lane. We just passed the 10-minute mark, so I'll just pause it and give a creep check real quick. We have Olaf at 38 against Mundo at 51. So despite Mundo being 0-3-0 and having been shut down a bit, and he was dive top, he's a faster jungler than Olaf, so he's got more CS. Bottom lane, Ashe is at 68 to kog'maw 76. So kog'maw a bit in the lead, which is great. kog'maw so strong late game compared to Ashe. Ashe is a bit more utility. kog'maw the raw damage. Top lane, Lee Sin at 61 to Vladimir's 69. So top lane, both very durable, both very tanky. Vladimir just finished off his Hextech Revolver, so he's going to have a lot of lane presence going forward. And mid lane, Morgana at 64, Rise at 80. So she's down a fair bit actually, but she's gone to gank a little bit. That's why she's behind. So the farm lead is a small lead for the blue team, with the only thing, they're ahead in the mid lane and the bot lane, but behind in the top lane and the jungle. So really kind of evenish, but they're at 4 kills and the dragon, which is obviously very significant. We'll see how it holds up though, because I think going on forward in the game, purple team can do a lot of damage with the Soraka, Rise, and Vladimir in a team fight. That's a lot of AoE magic damage potential, depending on how clumped up they are. If Rise can really rip teams apart if they clump up while he has his ultimate up, and he can get off an AoE Rune Prison or an AoE Q. He can do a lot of damage. Morgana's picked herself up some Sorcerer's Shoes and a couple Dorns. It'll be interesting what she builds. Commonly, Morganas want some sort of durability item. They would be going for a Rod of Ages or a Zhonya's typically, but sometimes a Rabadon's, just for the pure damage route. Lee Sin has picked himself up a couple Dorns. Mid lane, or bottom lane, Jen has picked up her boots and 1 gold per 5 item, while Soraka is just on boots. She has no gold per 5 items. So Janna is ahead in the gold per 5 game, which will help her ward more later. And it is almost the 12-minute mark. They're paying the enemy blue buff because they want to take it. And the dragon is also... okay, no, the dragon's not for a little while longer. Just the enemy blue buff is the next objective in the game. They want to control. And Mundo has been spotted at his race. Looks like he's going to ward, maybe gank top lane, or just ward, one or the other. Or maybe he is planning on taking their blue buff. Either ganking or taking their blue buff. Mundo's got plans. Oh, Morgana almost hits the Q, but doesn't quite hit. Mundo is still missing somewhere in the top lane. Gotta watch out for that. Lee Sin, though, he's very durable. He's not too worried, especially since he's got a creep wave for that extra layer of security. Bottom lane, kog'maw and Ashe continuing to farm, playing fairly passively, neither one of them really going for the kills. Mundo didn't really make anything happen. The 12-minute mark came. The enemy blue buff, or the blue team's blue buff, I should say, has not quite respawned yet. It'll be a bit later. They didn't quite take it as soon as strictly speaking possible. They took the enemy blue buff, you remember, instead, sort of, and then delayed their own a bit. I think Mundo was, maybe he was hoping that theirs would be respawning very soon in the 12-minute mark, and it did not, I'm not certain. So they're pinging the Vladimir. Morgana is here, going for the blind Q, but it whiffs, does not hit. Difficult to hit Q on a Vladimir with his pool to help him dodge it. kog'maw has gone back to base bottom lane, and they're pinging, yep, the enemy blue buff, or the purple team's blue buff, has respawned. So they want to contest that if possible. They're not in position to do it yet, though, but they may be moving towards position. We do have Olaf in the middle lane along with Morgana. Janna went back to buy just a ruby crystal. The enemy blue buff, it looks like they are shaking, moving into take. We have Ryze here, we have Soraka and Asher there, and Morgana is here as well. So Morgana is in position to potentially go for the steal. She does have that Q and that W, more so the Q if she can get a Q off, and yes, she does actually manage to steal, so very nice timing on Morgana to take that blue buff. Very, very, very well played. Now the dragon's up, so her having that blue buff will really help them contest the dragon because the cooldown reduction is obviously huge, and they stand a very good shot of getting this dragon. Thanks to, and they were ahead anyways, but ahead and with a blue buff, well, the enemy doesn't have one, which is huge. They're Ryze is not here and Vlad is top lane. All five here. I don't know why. Ashe is a bit out of position. I don't know if she can be this aggressive, especially when she's going against a Morgana and a Lee Sin. Both have a very good poke and the ability to kill her. She's cheeky. She's hit by the tornado. That could be the death of her. And we see the Lee Sin and the Morgana both hitting her, taking out Ashe. I'm not sure what Ashe was thinking. The entire team was there. She really couldn't play that aggressively. I mean, she was just caught out. Now this Soraka is here, and there is the Olaf up here, so Soraka could be the victim of a tower dive in a moment. She senses her weakness, though, so she's going to run away very wisely. We do have Mundo coming in from the side to help protect her. Janet misses her tornado. Soraka probably would have dodged that tornado had hit, but it did not. Mundo is just doing a little bit of damage. Soraka, I think she has her ultimate up. I'm pretty sure she has her ultimate up, so they're in pretty good shape. Meanwhile, Ryze just dodges Morgana Dark Binding by the hair on his chinny chin chin, and there's a bit of a wave coming in top lane. Lisa wants to farm. He's going to be a bit late, missed one or two, which is unfortunate, but I'm sure he'll survive. His blue buff is up. Morgana did take the enemy blue buff, but it's run down. She is probably going to take it herself in a moment. Just to, I think, more to make sure that the enemy doesn't steal it than to actually get it herself, so to speak. They say 1950 Dragon, very kind of them to give me the timer. But personally, if one thing I like to do with dragons is sometimes when I'm lazy and I don't time it, but you just know, I know that they killed the blue buff about a minute, or a little bit before the dragon, so I know that the blue buff's can respawn about a minute and 30 seconds before the dragon. So that's how I sometimes try and know the dragon is soonish, by knowing that it's a little bit after the blue buff comes back. In other words, we'll see them fighting for the blue buff before the dragon. Probably. They've been pretty successful with the blue buff so far. I don't see why they'd stop. If you can keep taking them, keep taking them. Take every objective you can. No mercy. So, Mundo is mundoing into the mid lane. He's been spotted by a ward. Morgana has refreshed her blue buff. Ashe is trying to farm bottom lane, but her Soraka is not in the neighborhood, so she has to be very careful. Because the kog'maw slow plus the Janna slow plus the Janna tornado are quite capable of giving her a kill if Ashe is that far forward without her support around. Mundo is perhaps going to be the victim of a tower dive. We see Olaf in here, Morgana in here. If Morgana lands Q, he is very vulnerable. They may just be going for the tower, though. If Mundo stays back, they probably don't want to dive him, especially with the Ryze coming. They land a very nice Q, do a lot of damage. Not going to be enough to get the kill, but still some very solid harassment. This tower, very low, may push it. Still about another minute-ish to go before the purple team blue buff respawns. A bit more than a minute. We see some harassment middle lane going on. Olaf is potentially coming around from a gank on the Ryze from behind. Looks like that may be the case. He does have his ultimate, so he won't be able to be room frozen. Ryze does flash, but Olaf doing a lot of true damage, very high burst. We see Lee Sin coming in with the Q. Ryze does have the heal. He is knocked back. However, Ryze is going to go down. Yes, Ryze does go down. However, Lee Sin also goes down. Morgana, very out of position. She's taking a lot of damage from this tower. And Soraka's here to silence her, and she goes down. She was trying to get that Mundo, did not get the Mundo. Mundo picks up the first 2 kills of the game for his team, getting them on the board. Very needed 2 kills. And one thing I want to note is I just noticed this Olaf is actually 2-0-4. He's been participating in all 6 of his kills so far, so great play by this Olaf so far in this game. He's been very active for his team setting up their kills. And we have the Vladimir pushing mid lane. Vladimir has moved up to his Ioning boots facility, plus his Will of the Ancients, compared to, I'm not sure where Morgana is. Oh yeah, she just died, so I'll see what she's at. A bit she's picked up. Looks like she's building Rabadons with the needlessly large and the Blasting Rod, so it's very offensive, not quite as defensive. Often Morgana's focused more on defensive items because her ultimate is a 1-2 punch. You have to stay alive for 3 seconds and stun them, and typically in Morgana in teamfight, after you use your ultimate, you are a huge threat. They want to kill you before your ultimate, the 3 seconds passes and it stuns them. So typically Morgana's focused a bit more on defensive items than some other heroes, just so they can ensure that they get the second part of their ultimate, which does more damage and also stun. But this Morgana instead opting to build a very offensive, damaging choice. Perhaps because she felt that they needed the damage to counter the sustain of this Vladimir and this Rise and this Rock, and maybe she thought that if she doesn't end fights quickly, that their lifesteal, their spell vamp I should say, will just be too much, so she thinks that she wants more damage instead of more survivability. Maybe her decision making on that one. This Lee Sin is trading against this Vladimir pretty effectively. Actually, he's taken out about half of his health. This Lee Sin does have a Hex Drinker and a couple Dorns and a Mercury Treads. They're going in for a dive maybe on bottom lane against the Serac. No, they're just going for the blue buff is what they're doing. The tower's already dead anyways. And it looks like they're going to get this blue buff unless it's stolen. Morgana hits it with Q to take it. The dragon is respawning in about a minute, more like a minute and 10 seconds. So the dragon's respawning soon, so they want to stay in this area so they can get the dragon, but they don't want to stay around and wait. What they really want to do is pick up a kill so they can really get an easy dragon. Maybe take this middle tower and then a dragon. They want to stay in the general area for dragon, but they don't want to sit on their hands waiting for it. Meanwhile, Lee Sin continuing to trade with Vladimir top lane. Pretty even trades. They're both at about 2/3 health. And they take out the mid tower, which is, like I said, one of the objectives they wanted, which will make it easier for them to pick up a kill, potentially, and ultimately to take the dragon in another 30-ish seconds, which is big money. You gotta get those dragons. So a kill would be great, this Rise or this Ashe. Ashe fires off an arrow at the Morgana, but she has a spell sheet up. She gets hit by the Janna Tornado, and she goes down to the Morgana ultimate. Morgana flashes away because she's low health. Mundo is moving forward. No, Mundo's hanging back. So Morgana used her ultimate to help kill the Ashe. Ashe tried to initiate, but she was countered very nicely by the Morgana spell shield. Morgana, who's quick with her spell shields, is very effective. Morgana's spell shield is a fantastic ability, but to be a really good Morgana player, you need to be able to see things like that Ashe arrow coming and spell shield really quick. Morgana actually gets hit by a cleaver and gets a bit afraid, so she uses her spell shield. Mundo's on the side. Morgana very low with her ultimate down, putting them in a bit of a weak position for this dragon. Despite them killing the Ashe, their Lee Sin is top lane, and the Vladimir is maybe here soon. They're going to start the dragon anyways, which is a bit of a risky maneuver since Mundo is right here, and he does have smite. This dragon could go either way. I'm not sure who's going to get it, or if any kills are going to be picked up, and okay, Olaf, I think, got the dragon because I saw the plus 25 gold over his head. It's kind of hard to tell because normally I'm used to seeing the big yellow letters, plus 190, but I think I saw Olaf getting the last hit because of the plus 25 gold thingamajigger. It's a bit different than I'm used to see the dragon gold, so that was risky. I don't really like that play by the blue team. They did get the dragon, but it was very risky. They gave, I think, the enemy team a chance to get the dragon. I don't think they needed to do that. I think they could have been a bit more safe and just tried to get a kill and not risking the dragon steal like that. I don't think that was a good choice. It worked out for them, but it was a risk that they didn't need to take. I think that they were ahead, and when you're ahead, you don't need to take risks like that, essentially. Letting the enemy steal a dragon or a baron is one of the easiest ways to lose a lead for no real reason. So we have Lee Sin going back to trading against this Vladimir. Blue team moving up, maybe for yet another. Morgana loves this double golems. I'm not sure how many blue buffs Morgana has received this game, but I think the answer is all of them -1, and that's, I think, the 6th one. I think that's her 5th blue buff of the game. No, she didn't get Mundo's first one. That's her 4th blue buff of the game, I think. 2 minutes, 7 minutes, or was it her 6th? I don't know. Long story short, Morgana's getting all the blue buffs on both sides. Kind of ridiculous. So they're maybe going in for a gank on this Vladimir. Morgana and Janna are both here. Janna does have the Oracle, so she doesn't really want to die. I think she's more going here for the counter warding than anything else. So they do see this Vlad face checking, and that could be the death of him, as he does get hit by the tornado and the Q. Morgana is Spell Moon. She hits him with her ultimate. The ultimate's stun going to go off. That may be enough to kill him. There is a tornado. Janna hits him with a slow first, and that goes down. Now Rise is in danger because Janna Tornado going to be up in a moment. Janna low. She ults. The shield, her spell shield blocks the Ashe ultimate. Fantastic play by the Morgana. I guess this is Morgana's permaban. Fantastic Q from the Morgana, followed up with the Tormented Soil. We have Olaf taking a lot of damage. We have switching on the Soraka. Soraka's very low, going to die. Probably Rise or... Okay, Mona gets hit by a tornado, so he's getting focused. We have Olaf very low, Ashe very dangerous, Ashe flashing over the wall, Lee Sin falls out with Q, very risky business, gets him killed. Looks like Ashe and Rise are going to escape. That was a 3-for-1 trade, which is fantastic for blue team, and they're low, but they may go for a Baron at this point. We'll see how it works out, because I'm not sure if they can or not. They're so low, but they did just pick up 3 kills. Scar, I don't know what Scar thinks he's doing, but there are 3 of them right here, and he gets hit by the Q and the tornado, and he's dead. So now that they picked up the Rise, I think they're going to go for the Baron. They might not have chosen to do that if they hadn't picked up the Rise. I think it was a big mistake on Scar's part. So they have Morgana tanking just because she's at high health. Probably kog'maw will step in and tank a bit. kog'maw actually has an infinity edge, which is huge. And Olaf doing a bit of tanking, and it looks like this is going down. Yeah, nothing the purple team can do about this one. They've just lost a Baron. Huge plays by blue team. Really dominating this game. Dominating objectives. They've picked up the dragons, the blue buffs, and the Baron, and they're ahead a couple towers too. So this is a runaway game for blue team. Purple team, they need, I think if they have any chance of getting back in this game, they need to take out these tier 1 towers. Once you hit the 20-minute, 30-minute mark, if you can't take out the enemy's tier 1 towers, you're just going to lose. You need that gold, you need that map control. You cannot afford to take out 0 objectives in a game. You just fall so far behind. You have to make a play. If they play passive, they just try and sit back and farm, it's not going to work. They're down too much gold. They're going against a kog'maw who's already got Infinity Edge and a Zeal, and their Ashe, on the other hand, doesn't even have an Infinity Edge yet. She is so far behind him. It looks like they are going to get this blue buff for once. Thank goodness they can get a blue buff. This is about the only thing they can do right. Unless Janna steals it with the tornado, which would be hilarious. She has the Oracles, kog'maw, Morgana, Janna moving up mid lane. Janna a bit risky. I'm not sure if I would face check that bush as Janna with the enemy team right there when you had the Oracles. Perhaps a bit of overconfidence on her part, but realistic, she could afford to lose that Oracle's gold. She already has her Shrelias and Heart of Gold, but that's really only 1 GP5 item, so she's not that wealthy despite her team being up so many objectives. Soraka, on the other hand, only has regular boots, Heart of Gold, and no Shrelias to speak of. Soraka is dirt poor this game, and Lee Sin getting away from being the slow of Ashe. She doesn't want to get perm slow, just going to pick up some Wraith camps, hang out on the side. This tower in some serious trouble. We're going to hang out here just to do a poke with the Q and the W from the side if anyone's foolish enough to wander into this region, like Vladimir. Like, oh, she misses it, unfortunately, but the cooldown is 8 seconds. We'll be back up in a bit. She shields the Olaf to help him be spell immune against those Ashe volleys. One thing, Morgana, great hero in general, but her spell shield very strong against Ashe volleys. Ashe volleys, such great CC to snare people, but if you throw on a Morgana shield on them, it just won't break. You have to deal damage to break the Morgana shield, and Ashe's volley just does not deal enough damage to really harm that shield enough. Looks like they took out the middle tower. They're now going for the bottom tower, just getting out more and more towers. They've got the kog'maw on their team, so he's so safe hitting towers from such a great distance. They take out this tower, and really, purple team, they need to fight. I mean, they really need to contest those towers. I guess they figure the enemy team is Baron buffed, they're behind, that they couldn't, but really, I don't think, if I was Monomaniac, I might not even push this. They just took out 2 towers. I bet they have a lot of gold. They could really just buy and be safer, but I think pushing this will be successful. Great Q landed on the Rise into Tornado Soil, taking a lot of damage. He flashes out of the Janna Tornado. The ultimate comes in from the Ashe, doing some damage. We have a knockback from Janna pulling people back. We have Olaf, that's Lee Sin in the front, taking a lot of damage. He's got the double shield on him. His shield plus Janna's shield plus Morgana's shield, enabling him to shield a lot, especially with his Mauve Malmortius. Absorbing a lot of damage. We have Morgana a bit out of... she lands a Q and a W on the Ashe. Uses her ultimate on the Ashe. Will the ultimate go off second time? Yep, fantastic play by the Morgana, taking off that Ashe, who really underestimated the ability of Morgana to do damage overall. We see a ward from Team Dignitas over the wall, being quickly taken out by the Janna with the Oracles. Dragons respawn. I think they're going to back off on this push, maybe take the inhibitor and then the dragon. Pretty easy inhibitor to take, since they just picked up a kill on the Ashe, and all 5 of them are here. They take the inhibitor, they're going to take the Baron. They've pretty much got this game in the bag. Fantastic play by Team Monomaniac to really be dominant about these objectives, asserting their control over early on the blue buffs and the red buff, or blue buffs and the dragon. Then they were given the opportunity to take Baron, they took it, then they took these outer towers, the base tower. That dragon just melted. So they just took out, I think, the 3 towers and a dragon, meaning they all have a lot of gold, so they're all going to go buy and probably go forward for one last push to win the game, since they are very wealthy. Morgana picks up an Abyssal Scepter and a Blasting Wand to go along with her Death Cap, putting her out a lot of damage. Kog'maw finishes off as Phantom Dancer. Jan looks like she only gets Kindle Gem, which isn't huge, but obviously helps. What did Lee Sin finished off as Frozen Mallet. Olaf, I'm not really sure what items Olaf had before. I think he picked up an Aegis. I think he picked up an Aegis there. Or maybe it was an Agatron. In any event, they all picked up quite a few items, and so the last team fight really, that's why I kind of thought that purple team, they had to engage, because if you don't engage, then you're just giving them the chance to take this tower, that tower, and dragon, and then they're all going to go back and buy items, and then when the next team fight happens, they're all going to come back with so much better items, and you're just going to be much further behind. I mean, it's hard to man up and engage in that kind of situation, but your choices are engage a fight you probably won't win, or if you don't engage, you're just going to give them the opportunity to extend their lead, and really, they couldn't afford to let them extend their lead like that, I don't think. Morgana going for the blind QW, do a little bit of poke. Nothing comes of it because she misses, but you don't have to hit with every Q, you only need to hit with one of them, and that'll win a team fight. That's the beauty of the strong poke of Morgana, catching people out of position, or not so much out of position, but just lucky lands. We'll see. We Spell Shield on Lee Sin. Ashe might have chosen Initiate when Morgana ultimate or Spell Shield is down. I think Ashe needs to sort of wait for Morgana Spell Shield to be used and then use her arrow, but Ashe is at low health. Oh, Ashe is actually dead. Yep, there goes Ashe. Caught out of position, I think, before she even really used her ultimate. Mundo is knocked back by the Jan ultimate. Lee Sin at low health, taking a bit of damage. We have Mundo falling back. Tornado, he's hit by Tornado along with Vladimir. kog'maw just in the back, doing a lot of damage. It looks like this tower is being hit by creeps. This tower is being killed by minions. So they just want to keep this pressure up so that tower can be taken out by the minions. Looks like Vladimir's gone back to defend the tower. But now they're advancing on this tower, since Vladimir's out of position and Ashe is dead. There are only 3 people in position to defend it. The Morgana Q hits Rise along with the W, along with the Tornado, and her ultimate, the Morgana ultimate, and the stun on the Morgana ultimate is enough to finish him off. Mundo is at the front, he's about to take a lot of damage. Rise is dead, so Vladimir is just doing what damage he can. kog'maw's low. Vladimir, I think he ghosted there. Vladimir going in, he's hit by the Q, and the Ashe arrow misses. If it hit Morgana, she was shielded anyways. Looks like blue team is retreating. They could choose to turn this around, but they just took out 2 towers again. They have the opportunity to go back, to spend their gold, and to go in for one last push to really end the game, and I promise this time. What are they going to pick up this time? It looks like kog'maw picked up the Vampiric Scepter for a little bit of sustain. Janna doesn't look like she has anything in particular. Olaf finished off his Quicksilver Sash. Morgana, I think she literally got nothing, unfortunately. Her item's already great. Looks like they're going for a Baron. A Baron and then a game win, by the looks of things. Lee Sin picked himself up some chainmail. So they're in position for the Baron, probably going to drop some wards, just give himself a bit of sight. Morgana fires off a blind Q plus W. They see some enemies. Looks like her Q, it missed, but looks like it almost hit. They couldn't really see because it was in the darkness. A word from Team Dignitas over here. They're probably going to counter that. Janna's still with her Oracle. She had that for I don't know how long, never died. And here comes the Baron. Really, Dignitas, if they absolutely need to steal this Baron. If they give up this Baron, they're screwed. Well, they're already screwed, but they need the Baron. Soraka doing what she can to kill the ward in the back. The Baron going down. the Morgana bullying away the Vlad from the side just to make sure he can't come in and try and go for the steal. They've targeted the Nexus. I think realistically they're going to go for the inhibitors instead of straight up the Nexus, just because the inhibitor towers are down. So easy to kill inhibitors with the towers down. Looks like they're kind of going for the back door on this one. The creeps aren't here yet, but without a tower there, it is a joke to kill. And if they take out both inhibitors, the game's over. They don't even have to fight at the last tower if they don't want to. See if they land a Q on Rise. Morgana a bit out of Q range for the moment. Some poke going on. Volley from the Ashe. Morgana lands. No, she misses her Q. She lays down the tormented soil. Doesn't really do much damage. The Jenna Tornado hits the Vladimir. Mundo is charging forward, trying to initiate. Jenna knocks him back. The Vladimir a bit out of position. He's about to die when that pool's down. Vladimir about to die in a second, taking heavy damage, being forced by the entire team. Morgana does go off in the front. Mundo is very low, probably the next to fall. kog'maw taking some damage, Soraka going down, Ashe about to die, no doubt, to the kog'maw. kog'maw's items just so much better than hers, and Rise does manage to pick off the kog'maw, but is about to go down himself, mainly with Olaf, and Lee Sin just dodges out of his tower range. The tower's about to die to 3 main people, and then the next turret, and that is the game. That was a bit one-sided. I think the story of that game was the early invade forced Mundo to go for the enemy red buff, which was a big mistake on his part. You cannot go for the enemy red buff as Mundo without flash, without an escape. He was basically just giving away first blood for free. And not only did they control that buff, but they proceeded to control the blue buffs with fantastic blue buff steal, controlling the dragons, getting the turrets. Very good focus on objectives from Team Monomaniac. Very good game. And thank you for watching. Keep your over and out.